And welcome to another edition of the Lowcountry Sports Report. Today we have a special show in store for you. We are live here at Harbortown getting ready for the 51st Heritage, and I'm joined with a really special guest, Roger Clark. Roger, thank you so much for coming on today and co-hosting this with me. So tell our viewers, how long have you been covering this event?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I did the math. It's my 27th year I've been walking these fairways, so it's always a treat, and it's Hilton Head Island. This tournament just is an icon of what this whole island is about, so it's great to be here.
So right off the bat, let's get into a juicy subject here. This is such a tradition. You know, when you ask anybody in the island, they know what the Heritage is. What do you think makes this such a tradition? Is it the volunteers? Is it the cannon ceremony? Is it the fact that spring break for a bunch of schools is this week? What is it to you?
I think it's everything. Everybody knows that it's the tournament. Everybody has personal equity in it, and they just do what they can. 1,200 volunteers. No PGA tournament can be held if it doesn't have the volunteers to do what they do, from holding signs and doing everything else that makes this tournament happen. You know, there's a funny story about the cannon. Steve Wilmot got it inspected last year, and I don't know where you get a cannon inspector, but he said, you know, one more firing in this cannon, it would have blown up, so they had to get it fixed. So Kadira this year would be able to stand up. He thought he might get a little bit more entertainment than he usually gets when the cannon goes off. But not only the volunteers, but Jonathan Wright, the golf course superintendent, he works with the PGA people. This place is in perfect condition this year for the tournament.
Absolutely. You know, yesterday was actually the first time I had ever seen the cannon ceremony in person, and I have never seen anything like that. I don't think there's an opening ceremony like that on the entire PGA Tour.
Well, they don't have a cannon. I'd be pretty sure about that. But it starts the tournament off, and they've been doing that for a long time. You know, Arnold Palmer, when he won here the first time, was in a slump, and everybody thought the king was basically over the hill. And I think that's really the springboard for Charles Frazier and the rest of the Heritage Committee that got this thing started with something that you couldn't write a script for it. For the king to win on this golf course that really doesn't suit his game, something special.
It's quite amazing. I can't believe that was 51 years ago now that Arnold Palmer won. Pretty spectacular. But now let's go back to Steve Wilmot. What goes into him? Like, how big of a role do you think he has played in this success of this tournament over the years?
He's the commander. You know, he was the number 2 in charge under Mike. Mike Richardson, Mike Stevens. And he's now working at the PGA office in Ponte Vedra. But he's been around a long time, and he's the commander. He makes decisions with the PGA staff, but he's got such great people working for him in every part of the event that sometimes he's not doing a whole lot, and then other times he might get an hour or two of sleep and got to make everything work. So it kind of depends on how things go, but you know, they're always adding new stuff, and he's always looking forward. He's a great leader for this tournament. There's no doubt about that.
Lastly, let's talk about the players. I mean, pretty much everyone who's anybody has come to this event, whether it be Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson. What do you think brings them here?
Harbortown. They love this golf course. This golf course requires things that a lot of normal quote-unquote PGA Tour events don't require. The trees, you can be in the middle of the fairway and just have a very, very difficult shot. You know, the hurricane took out one of the trees at 10 that really made that hole play quite a bit easier. But still, you have to have the channel, the right spots to get to the holes, and it depends on where the pin is.
Absolutely. You know, I've loved watching some of these players over the years, and I'm so grateful that every year they still come back and come back. But we're going to take a quick little break. But yesterday, I met up with some players. I talked to about 8 or 9 players, and I asked them, what makes the RBC Heritage so special? So let's go to the players.
I think there's many reasons. The first one being the golf course. It's one of the best golf courses we play every year. A lot of guys love it. The guys that don't like it, I don't understand why they don't like it. Because it just, I think it doesn't favor one player or the other type deal. You got to hit good golf shots. It rewards good golf shots, rewards good play. Other two, it's just a low-key, nice, relaxing week. A lot of people bring their kids and their family and enjoy the week, especially guys after the Masters. It's just a nice decompressing week after the Masters. You know, and then RBC is an unbelievable sponsor, and Steve Beaumont and his staff do a really great job of making the players feel welcome here, and the fans as well. The fans come out in groves type deal, and it's cool to see the support that everyone has for this event.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a home field event. It's even more special to my family personally. This is where my parents met, on the golf course when my dad was playing. And so, you know, I've joked in the past that this tournament's the reason I exist, and it certainly it means a lot to me. And it was one of the tournaments that we came to every year, and therefore it got me in the game, because I came out here and watched my dad play over the years, and saw all the players that he played with, and I would say that this tournament probably made me want to, you know, be a professional as well.
Such a good golf course. You know, it's short, it's tight, but it plays difficult. You know, with the small greens and, you know, obviously tight fairway. So it's a great track. It's a fun track to play, and then I just think that the fans have a good time coming down here. That it seems like there's lots of things going on for the fans to do, and you know, it's the only tournament in South Carolina, so you get a lot of local fans, and, you know, from all over the state that come down and support the event. And I think, you know, like I was saying, RBC does such a great job hosting this event.
Yeah, like you said, the field is a very strong field, especially coming off of a major championship. Obviously, location is very nice, and I think if you just look at the community that surrounds this course and sort of the environment, major championships are very stressful, and having a very fun week, which is sort of what the RBC Heritage provides, is sort of what we look for in a tournament right after a major.
Yeah, I think the golf course, really, to be honest with you, Harbortown Golf Links is just an amazing golf course. A good bit of the guys are coming over from the Masters last week, so the move from Augusta to Hilton Head's pretty easy. I think all the players really love this golf course, and we love the environment here in Hilton Head that RBC puts on. They put on a great event, and you get a lot of support locally for people coming out to watch the golf.
You know, I tell you, I think one of the things that really makes it special, quite frankly, is Sea Pines. I mean, you're in a fantastic resort. The golf course is great. You know, the players come with their families, and the families have a great time. I mean, it's just a great place to watch a golf tournament. And I tell you, the fields we got a great field this year. It's really becoming a very popular stop.
I think there's a vibe in this community. It's such a wonderful community event, all the support from our volunteers, and it's a rallying cry to showcase this wonderful Lowcountry that we all fortunately live in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good vibe out here. You know, the water is real close. People it's sunny as always, and people are always having a good time. So I think that's a pretty good shout out by Wilmot there.
Yeah, I think the adults that come down here, they have a good time.
And welcome back to the Lowcountry Sports Report. Now, Roger, we're out here in front of the lighthouse. I mean, lovely area, absolutely beautiful. This is Harbortown at its finest. You know, these players come back to this tournament year in and year out, it seems like. And it's not just like we're getting players who really just started or amateurs. I mean, there's some of the best players in the world. I'm pretty sure 26 of the top 50 golfers are at this tournament. And last week is the biggest event of the year, obviously the Masters. And you would think after the Masters, they'd be like, okay, you know what, let me relax, let me go on vacation with the kids, whatever. What do you think it is that's bringing them back again and again and again?
Most of the time it's the wife. We're going to go to Hilton Head, and I'm going to go to the beach, and you can make a little money, but we're going to take the kids and you know, kayaking, or all the things that are to do at Hilton Head. It is, you know, the entire golf world just takes a big sigh of relief, and this is really a great spot for Hilton Head Island and for the Heritage, the RBC Heritage to be, is after the Masters. Obviously it's close. They can take the rental cars from Augusta and get over here in about 2.5 hours. So, but it's most of the time it's the wife. And you know, the nightlife, a couple of times rumor has it that Darren Clark closed Riley's at something like 4 o'clock in the morning and had a 7:30 tee time. So you know, there's another part of the Hilton Head appeal that gets players to come here. But it's a beautiful place, and the players recognize that.
Would you say of all tournaments, this tournament has one of the most friendliest family atmospheres on the PGA Tour?
You know, most of the time I'd say yes. There's a lot, to me, there's a lot more fun things. The Heritage Committee and the Marketing Committee do a lot of great things. The Cheers for 50 Years last year, and all of the plaid events that they do. It is the South Carolina State Party. And then a golf tournament breaks out on the fairways between it. So they try to promote that all the time, and so it's a lot of fun besides just watching great players play golf.
Now, what about the golf course? I mean, I asked a couple of these players this question, and some of them said the course itself.
Pete Dye, all the time. There's genius out there. Every hole has got special characteristics and things that you have to work your way around the golf course. And to play well here, you have to have every part of your game working well. The biggest part to me is I think a lot of the younger players don't grasp. You have to have distance control on your irons. These greens are so small, and you just miss a little bit, and then you got a tough, difficult chip to get up and down. That's really the key. Hale Irwin won here at age 48 because he knows exactly how far he can hit an 8-iron into a particular green. He'd won earlier in his career. He's won more than once, but that's another real key is distance control. And then if the wind comes up, have a good time. I mean, 7 under is won here. A lot of times, they don't get into double digits, and it's a really short course. So that tells you how much genius Pete Dye and Jack Nicklaus put into this golf course.
Absolutely. So over the years, some very talented golfers have won this event. You know, guys from Arnold Palmer to Jack Nicklaus to even more recent guys like Kuchar and Furyk and Kodara last year. What are some of your favorite memories? What are some of your favorite performances over the years?
Well, the first one I got to talk about is Woody Austin cracking his putter shaft over his head on the 14th green at Harbortown. People have seen that clip, but they don't know that it happened here. That's kind of a funny one, and Woody's kind of a crazy guy, and he just kept banging that putter till he broke it. Another favorite for me would be Jose Caceres. Came from nowhere and won in a Monday playoff against Billy Mayfair, and I was fortunate enough to be the only guy covering that live on the radio station at that time.
So you got a little exclusive action.
Held up a white flag in Spanish, and an incredible story. Then turns around and is playing soccer in Argentina and breaks his arm, and slowed his career down. But that was a big moment for me. And Aaron Baddeley, when he won on Sunday, a 6-iron at the par 5 15th up over the trees. It's an impossible shot. The adrenaline had to be going. The players are very good at knowing what their body is doing, but if you stand out there in a fairway and go, he hit that over the trees. John Daly's done it a couple of times, but Aaron Baddeley's not as big as Big John, but that was a shot that won the tournament, so that was a big thrill for me.
There's been so many incredible moments, but 2 stick out for me. Number 1 has to be Matt Kuchar's hole out. And number 2 has to be, actually I was here, it was when Jim Furyk won in the playoff. That was really cool. I'd never seen a playoff in person before. To be able to see that was just amazing.
I'm not a big fan of playoffs because when I'm covering it for the radio station, I got to run back and forth between 18 and 17.
It's some extra work for you.
You got to sprint. They're not going to wait for you, but
you got to really earn your money, I guess.
It's also really exciting. Sudden death is, especially if you've never won before in a PGA event. I just can't imagine how nervous and excited at the same time you can be in that situation. And there's a lot of playoffs. Davis Love chipping in to get into a playoff and then win. It's a golf course that keeps the field pretty much bunched up.
All right, Roger. So, there's so many favorite moments you could pick for the Heritage. So what I had to do was I had to ask some players and I had to ask some tournament executives what their favorite moments were. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the players and the executives. And we're going to find out just exactly what their favorite moments are. You're watching the Lowcountry Sports Report.
It's tough to say, and I'll have another great story after this year and things. I know how a few years back after a win, how Davis Love has become a great friend, embraced, kind of brought my son under his wings and some things. And everybody was saying, hey, how great is it for Davis to share this tournament with his son? I'm like, that was my son. So that's one, because it ties in family, it ties in things. So, but yeah, it's tough to say. There's been so many. So,
well, last year was a good year. Finished top 10. It was first time back in a long time, but yeah, just being able to see a lot of friends and family come down and watch. It's a great week for me.
Growing up watching golf, you saw all these memorable shots. Obviously, we're at the same golf course for so long, so you have all this history here. I don't know if I've had any memorable shots here, but I know there's been some great finishes to the tournament. Some of my friends have won the tournament, doing some spectacular things there on the last couple holes.
I think when Boo Weekley chipped in on 17, maybe it was that final round or that Monday finish, I thought that was pretty cool. Brant Snedeker behind me, a good friend of mine, when he shot, I don't know what he shot, 62, 64 that final round to get in a playoff with Luke Donald and wind up winning. Those are some pretty cool moments type deal. And there's thousands of moments like that throughout the history of this event.
I don't think I've personally played well enough to pick out a moment. I mean, I can think, Matt Kuchar holding up for the bunker and Brian Davis having issues left with 18 as well. But, maybe those.
It's only my second year playing, and I think, Kuchar's hole out on 18 is something I remember in the highlight reel. So, but besides that, I don't have too many things to draw back from.
Oh my God, I started coming here in 1984 when we first started coming here. They've all been great. I mean, each one has a different character to it. This is going to be the best.
But I tell you, really, my favorite moments is this. I used to come here with my parents years ago, and then I'm now here with my kids. So for me, when I think of the Heritage, I really think about a fun time with my family, and that's really the highlight every year.
I mean, we used to do a lot of the stuff off the golf course as well. So bike riding, going to the beach, playing in the parks, and those were some pretty special family memories that I have from this place. But golf tournament-wise, I mean, they all the years kind of run together. But just watching my dad and I remember watching him on the putting green there and hitting putts with him when I was maybe not supposed to be on the green. So lots of good memories for sure.
Me, I just love the golf course. I love the community. I love everything about being around here. I love them. Every time I get to come here, man, it's very special to be able to come here and play. And, this place feels like home.
And welcome back to the Lowcountry Sports Report. Now we're inside Harbortown again, and Roger, it's time to predict this thing. It's time to break down this tournament. So what, in your opinion, what type of player would specialize at this course?
Well, first of all, predicting who's going to win a golf
tournament
is a fruitless exercise. But the type of player that plays well here traditionally is going to be a really good ball striker. You have to position your ball around this golf course, and you got to be a really good putter. Lauren Warburt's won one year, and he was making so many putts he started apologizing and making them from everywhere. Justin Leonard, the same thing. They're just making 40-footers all over the place, and when that happens with the putter, all you got to do is get it somewhere on the green, and you got a really good chance to win. Brian Gay's a perfect example of the kind of player that can win here. It's not about what it was last week at Augusta and all power. It's about finesse, position, and making putts. And Matt Kuchar, Kevin Kisner, that's lost in a playoff to Furyk before. Furyk's another example, doesn't hit it that far, but plays really well around here because he can work the ball both directions. I like Tommy Fleetwood. I like Paul Casey. Those are the kind of guys that should do well at Harbortown, assuming the weather holds.
So pretty much what you're saying is you don't have to be this big flashy player to win here. You don't have to go up there and blast it close to 400 yards like guys like great players Bubba Watson and Dustin Johnson. I mean, you need to, as you said, you have to be more of a finesse player.
Well, actually, they set the course up very interestingly. There's really no rough around here. There's a first cut, but they want the ball to roll into the trees and roll into the pine straw and make it more difficult. So if you're hitting it, it's always an advantage to hit the ball further. But around here, there's a lot of holes where further doesn't do you any good. It's going to get you, in fact, it's going to get you in trouble. 12 is a perfect example. If you're through the fairway there on that par 4, you're probably going to make bogey. This course won't generate a lot of double bogeys. It'll just slice you and nick you, and all of a sudden you're bleeding and you shoot 74 and you go home.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned in one of our previous segments, there's a lot of players who continue to come here year after year after year, and one of those guys is Mr. Luke Donald. It's almost comical at this point, but he has 5 number 2 finishes. It's success. I mean, top 3 is good. I mean, heck, top 5 is a good finish. What do you think, why is he so successful?
Well, Luke Donald at one time was number 1 player in the world, but he's got a problem that he's developed. He's short and crooked. and that kind of makes it difficult when you can't hit the driver in the fairway or whatever you're teeing off with around here. He's an absolutely spectacular putter. Just looks like he's going to make every putt and frequently does, and that's why he plays well around here. He's a lot like Brad Faxon. He hits it pretty dead-gum crooked a lot, but he'll get it up and down and save par, and then when he's got a birdie chance, he'll make it. So that's what makes him successful around here. He's another really, really, really good putter.
I'm really looking forward to see what he can do this year. Hey, maybe he can break the streak. Maybe he can finish #1. But lastly, there's a lot of local golfers here. A lot of golfers that are from the state of South Carolina, and one in Brian Harmon from Georgia. There's guys like Dustin Johnson, Bill Haas, that have grown up in this state and now get to play in this tournament. How cool do you think is that for them?
They love coming here. You know, as kids, they wanted to play here, that if they had a chance to be on the PGA Tour, it's going to be their favorite spot. It's their home state. It also helps them that they know the grass, they know the greens. And they get their family and friends. And you know, when you have a home tournament like that, it just gives you more incentive and you're more relaxed. So a lot of things that go on that have those Clemson and South Carolina Gamecock players come here, and Dustin Johnson's from College of Charleston, but it's like home to them. So family and friends come down, they have a good time, and you know, Jordan Spieth brought a whole bunch of buddies a couple of years ago from Masters. He said, let's keep hanging out, you know, we'll have a good time.
They do their spring break.
Had a terrible first round and then put together a spectacular second round to make the cut. So, you know, you got to realize it's their job, and they got to go out and play. But when they're relaxed, they play better.
You know, one thing I love about this area is the fact there's so much local up-and-coming golf. You know, you got kids at high schools, colleges here at USCB that really look up to these guys, and they use an event like this as inspiration. Actually, I caught up with a bunch of players and I asked them how special of an opportunity it is for these kids to be able to have an event like this to gather inspiration. So we're going to go to them.
You see a lot of kids out here. You know, South Carolina, I know my kids are on spring break, so there's probably a lot of kids out here that actually get to see the best players in the world play. And if that doesn't get them interested, then they're probably not going to be into golf. But this place offers a lot more than just golf. You got the harbor right here. The boats are amazing. The nightlife's fun for the families. I think it's a great place to get people interested in the game and also get to come watch a great golf tournament.
Yeah, I think it motivates them. I didn't have an event in my hometown like this growing up, but if I would have definitely gone. And so just to see, you know, the most competitive tour, have best players come and play, it's a lot of fun. And they've probably gotten to play this course too, so to get to compare their games, and I'm sure it's a blast for them.
Well, yeah, I think anytime you get a PGA Tour event, the best players in the world come into your, you know, community or your area, it definitely helps, you know, grow the game. It helps, you know, get the younger kids involved, you know, if you can get them out here and watch, and especially the kids that are, you know, aspiring to be golfers, you know, having them come to a PGA Tour event, I think it just gives them that much more drive to want to get out here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can help. Certainly, you know, them watching kind of how we go about things and, you know, practice habits, and, you know, probably less about how we play and more about how we prepare and all that, I think can help, certainly.
I think it's great that there's a lot of kids in this local area, so many good golf courses type deal, and having a tournament where they can come see, you know, how we practice, how we play. You know, you see on TV the guys playing well each week. It's, you know, it sort of gets, you think that everyone plays great, but when you see other guys struggle, it sort of brings you back into reality. You see guys working hard, so it gets the kids that motivation to want to get better in the game of golf and strive to be out here. So it's great to have the kids come out. I think a lot of players love the support of the young kids and love seeing kids in golf, because whether they get to the PGA Tour or LPGA Tour, it doesn't really matter. It's more about playing the game of golf and knowing that golf is going to be in their life throughout the life, and there's many doors that can be opened through it.
Well, I hope that they come out and learn a little bit, you know, just to come out and see what's really going on, and how you can, you know, perform and how we act out here on the golf course and how we cut up. And 'cause that's the big thing is, you know, your attitude on the golf course, it reflects on what everybody else sees when you're out here, you know. And if they see you having a good time, they'll know that golf's about, you know, having fun and enjoying it.
Oh, absolutely. And we tie in, the Heritage Classic Foundation has a junior heritage event, that the winner of that gets into the Players Amateur, and the winner of the Players Amateur that we conduct each year in Berkeley Hall gets gets into the RBC Heritage. And when you start looking at, we have 55 players that have played in the Players Amateur that is in our field. So we get to know them, we get to see it, they get to see how we conduct business, they get to see the Lowcountry, and it's just a wonderful time.
I was one of those kids in South Florida in the early 90s. I came out to the Honda Classic and watched these guys, and inspired me to be out here. So you never know who you're going to come across or who you're going to meet or impact, but it's a great thing.
And welcome back to the Lowcountry Sports Report. We don't have much time, but it's time to make our predictions. So Roger, I'm going to go with Bryson DeChambeau to win this year. There's other guys like Francesco Molinari, he'd be number 2, but I think DeChambeau, he made his PGA Tour debut at this course, and last year he blew up the 3rd day, but days 1, 2, and 4, he was lights out, and I think this is the year he gets it done.
The mad scientist, he's crazy. He's a very low ball hitter. That works very well here at Harbor Town. Crazy last week that he changed shafts at the Masters. I just can't conceive of that. But I'm going with Tommy Fleetwood. Did not play that well at Augusta. Frequently somebody that's top 10 in the world comes in here. They can turn it around, but I especially like when the wind blows and that hair's flowing with the plaid jacket on. That's got a great look for the Heritage. I'm going with Tommy Fleetwood.
Awesome prediction, Roger. Well, we'll see what happens, guys, but thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll be back next week. You've been watching the Lowcountry Sports Report.
Hey, I'm Tony Hawk, and you're watching the County Channel.
When a dog or cat is adopted from the county animal shelter, a microchip can be implanted in the animal, identifying its owner. The cost is $20 in addition to an adoption fee of $80, which includes spaying or neutering and vaccinations. A microchip pet may be reclaimed by the owner for a fee.
A message from Beaufort County Animal Shelter and Control. The shelter is always happy to accept donations of old blankets, towels, or pet toys.